is up, you guys? My name is Blitzversion1 and welcome back to my Furry Protogen. It is time... Jesus! Every time. Anyway, it's time to get back on with our amazing Juno-driven storyline. Anyway, last we left off, truth came out. Juno knows everything, so we know... she knows that we're the chosen one, that we didn't know anything about our planet, and it almost got us killed in the process, along with probably her, potentially her. But that is neither here nor there. Now we are going to move on with life and things, and let the romance blossom, I believe. Anyway, the further we moved across the planet, the closer Juno and I got. Felt that it was easy, right? And good for me with Juno. As if it was supposed to happen, as if we were supposed to meet. It seemed like we had known each other for a long time and we just hadn't seen each other for many years, and now we have finally found our way to each other again. As promised, I helped Juno as much as I could. I tried to learn how to collect samples, of course, exclusively under her strict guidance. I recalled everything I studied about nature at school. I tried my best to become Juno's assistant and not a burden. I helped her do some things in the jet. Juno had even let me into her laboratory. She showed me everything there, although I still didn't understand most of her words. Juno laughed kindly and assured me that I would definitely figure it out in the future. Our journey ran through the whole world, and I didn't even know how big it really was. Of course, for Juno, our planet was tiny, but for me, it was a boundless expanse. For a guy who had lived all of his life in one place, in one house, waking up every morning in a new place was a real miracle. More and more I began to think about asking Juno to travel through space with her research on our planet was over. I didn't have enough of an imagination to picture what I would see there. I couldn't wait to go, even though I knew it would be extremely difficult to persuade Juno to take me with her. Maybe she'd never agree to it. I didn't want to think about that. Think about what would happen if Juno just flew away one morning just as she arrived, suddenly like a blast in the middle of a quiet forest. Would she forget about me? Leave it all behind? I couldn't imagine how I could possibly forget how I could leave our friendship, our communication, our heart-to-heart conversations behind my shoulders. For me, it was something new and so amazing that I didn't even want to imagine what it would be like to lose it. Sometimes I thought about my parents, about whether they thought about me, whether they remembered what happened to them, to the village. From time to time I dreamed that the village was completely destroyed, burning in a fire as soon as I left. The prophecy came true and it was all my fault. In these dreams I felt helpless and infinitely inexpressibly guilty. My God, why was that word so hard to read? When I woke up in the morning, I was so depressed that even Juno noticed it and asked me if I was all right. But I couldn't tell her that what I was really thinking because I didn't want to turn these thoughts, these fears into words. Then it would make them a reality. And I didn't need it. I didn't want to admit that I was really guilty of something, that I really had left my village and my family in danger. Juno and I moved further north on the planet and soon found ourselves in a vast expanse of hills and sparse forests. As soon as we got out of the jet, a strange smell hit our noses. It smelled like rot, long dead meat. We looked at each other and realized that Juno had also smelled it. What is that stink? What is that? What is it that stinks so much? I don't know. Maybe something died nearby. We went further along the paths into the forest. I began to look closely at the trees and shrubs around us. They looked completely different from what I remembered in the pictures in the books. These places were drawn quite differently. Now the leaves of trees were covered with strange red dots and lines. It seemed that all the greenery had withered. But why? It was too early for winter, and the air was quite warm. Should it be this way? I approached Juno who was holding several wrinkled, blackened leaves in her hands. No, it definitely shouldn't be like this. They're like wilted. But it's too early for that. The weather is good. Winter isn't coming soon. Why did this happen? Juno frowned. It was clear from her helmet that she was deep in thought about something. I'll take samples. I think we need to find out what kind of disease this is. Do you think it's some kind of infection? Juno nodded tensely. This can't be an accident. Look at the forest. It's all like this, even the grass. What do you mean? Have you seen something like this before? There was a panic in my voice. I didn't know what kind of trouble had happened to this village, to this forest village. But there was clearly nothing good about the black spots on the plants. Juno shrugged, saying nothing in particular. I'm not sure. Maybe not. You can find out what it is, right? I'll try, Blitz. I promise. I accepted her answer. There was no better alternative anyway. But an unpleasant anxiety appeared in my chest. I'd never seen anything like this before. When the season changed, the leaves fell. It still didn't look like that. They never turned black, and they turned yellow at most, and then when the heat came, they turned green again. But these plants seemed to be seriously ill. The whole forest smelled of rot, something heavy and dead. Juno's helmet had the same worried expression on it that I had. We need to get out of here. I don't like it. What? Do you think it's dangerous? Maybe. It seems to me that at that moment an animal's cry was heard from somewhere in the depths of the forest. It was frantic, desperate, and the animal was struggling in agony. Juno and I exchanged glances without a word ran toward the sound. In the middle of the clearing where we found ourselves, there was a three-horn. It was a large, once beautiful animal with 5 hooves and 3 horns on its head. Its eyes, usually yellow, had turned white, and black blood flowed from its mouth. It smelled like a corpse, like rotten meat, as if the three-horn had long since died, although we saw it convulsing. What happened to it? What's wrong? I don't know. We need to run some tests and find out. We're not taking it to Pixie, are we? Juno shook her head empathetically. Of course not. If that's what I'm thinking about. What are you thinking about? I would really like to know. This is my planet, after all. Juno walked up to the three-horn, looked at the dying animal with regret. What do you call them? Three-horns. They're herbivores, mostly harmless if you don't try to scare them. Very cute creatures. I'll take samples. Juno squatted in front of the three-horn. She reached for the black, viscous pool of blood and took a sample on a special stick. Let's get out of here. I'll tell you everything as soon as we get to the jet. It's not safe here. Juno and I set off at a brisk pace in the opposite direction just in case. She took out her gun while I hurried after her. My heart was clenching in my chest with fear. What happened to this forest? What happened to this animal? Why did Juno react like that? Questions, and even more questions, Captain. When we were in the jet, Pixie greeted us as a standard greeting, but immediately said, Juno, I must warn you, there is an unknown virus on the ship. I know, Pixie, we brought it. We need to understand what it is. Be careful, it could be dangerous. Virus, I mean, like the flu? It's hardly that harmless. You saw what was happening to that three-horn. Juno took my backpack with the samples and told Pixie to take off. She decided to go back where we were yesterday and stay in a safe place. I followed Juno into her lab. You promised to tell me what it is. But I promised. If this is some kind of disease, I want to know how dangerous it is for the planet and how it can be stopped. Juno sighed. She pulled out all the samples we collected on the table and immediately put on protective gloves and a special suit. Listen, I don't understand it myself. I think it's some kind of virus, and if I'm right, we need to inform your village urgently. If this virus is as serious as I think it is, it will spread all over the planet. We need to find out if there's a chance to stop it, where it came from, and if there's a chance, it's possible there isn't one. But I'm not a magician. Yes, I'm a scientist, but this does not mean that I can do everything. It may not work out, and then we will need to figure out what to do. And the most important thing is whether this virus is dangerous to humans. I could feel my heart beating wildly in my chest. Juno set to work working on her instruments. Promise that you will tell me everything when you find out something. Of course, let's go get some rest. Chat with Pixie. I decided not to disturb Juno and follow her advice. After leaving the lab, I didn't know what to do, so I just collapsed into a chair and tried to pull myself together. So what did we have? Some unknown virus that killed plants and animals. I've never seen this before, so I was really scared. Thoughts of my parents and village immediately flashed into my head. What if the virus got there too? What should we do about it? The worst part was that I couldn't help in any way. I tried to calm myself down, having no other option to cope with the panic. Maybe this virus wasn't as scary as I thought. At least, if it wasn't harmful to people, yes, livestock and crops may die, but we could cope with this. We had already had bad years before, and back then we survived all of them altogether. I told myself that it is impossible to lose my temper right now and give up. After all, Juno was on my side, a scientist from another planet. She knew exactly what to do with all this. For several hours, I restlessly roamed around the jet and tried to occupy myself with something, but to no avail. At some point, I fell into a chair and even managed to take a nap, but the restless surface sleep didn't last long. Juno came out of her lab, and from the look of her, I understand she didn't have any good news. Well, did you find out anything? Something. Pixie, keep an eye on the lab. Yes, Juno. Will you tell me? Juno sat down opposite me with a heavy sigh. I think it's a virus, and this virus is very dangerous. Judging by what I managed to find out at the moment, it spreads very quickly through the air and through touch. It kills carriers and remains in an already dead organism for a while. I tried to kill the virus with cold or heat, but the effects of temperature don't cause it any harm. Listen, Blitz, I don't want to scare you, but I think it's very serious. You need to return home immediately. Our journey is over. I assume that it can be stopped somehow, and I will try to do everything I can to help your planet. I gripped the arms of the chair, feeling my heart pounding in my chest. It was beating faster and faster with every word Juno said. Oh, wait. What are you talking about? What do you mean I have to go back? What about you? I'm going back to my ship. This jet is only part of my ship. The ship itself is waiting for me in orbit. There I have more devices, more tools. I can try to create a cure. And you should be with your loved ones and... No. What are you talking about, Juno? This is my planet, my house. And if it's in danger, I'm not going to sit idly by. I will help you in any way I can. It will be much better if there were two of us. Blitz, it can be very dangerous. What if you get infected, or what if you get infected? Juno was silent for a couple of moments, but then she shook her head. Still, you'd better go back. I don't want to be constantly distracted by worries about you. I don't want to let it happen again. I immediately realized where those words were going from. Juno frowned, turning away from me again. Juno, nothing will happen to me, and if it does, that will mean you couldn't have prevented it. I won't be much better off at home anyway than with you. If the virus is spreading fast, then my village may be in danger, but this virus won't be able to get on your ship. Juno was silent, apparently trying to decide how to proceed. I reached out and squeezed her hand in mine, and at the moment I felt a wave of heat radiate through my body. I'd never touched Juno like that before, gently squeezing her palm, saying that I was there, next to her, and nothing would happen to me. In fact, I'd never touched anyone like that, even my parents. They didn't need my support. They tried to support me, but it never worked out. Now I felt more ready for battle than ever, more motivated than ever. Maybe that was my purpose. Who knew? Help Juno with the cure. If I were going to die, then so be it. Juno, I'm not going anywhere. I'll stay with you, and we'll get through this together. And if we fail, what then? Juno drooped even more, but her hand squeezed mine in response. Her warm, thin fingers gently squeezed mine. For a moment, my heart skipped a beat. Then we will think about what to do next, okay? We'll solve the problems as they occur. I smiled at her encouragingly, and Juno was silent for a few moments, squeezing my hand, and then gave up. Fine. You're probably right. Whoops. Check. Okay. Pixie, let's go to the ship. We need to decide what to do with all this. Yes, Juno. The jet shook, and then soon we soared into the sky. Ding dong, dingly dong. Can't tell I missed Changing Tale, can you? Juno's ship hovered like Talia over in the sky. It was much bigger than I thought. It was huge. I'd never seen anything like it before. Our planet could be seen from the huge window. It was so small, defenseless in appearance. My heart sank at the mere thought that it would soon be destroyed. No, I couldn't let it happen. I couldn't. I have to confess something. I turned to Juno, who was sitting in a big captain's chair. What? See, I came to your planet for a reason. For the last few years, I've been chasing some kind of anomaly. It was like it was moving through space. I don't know how, but it was jumping from planet to planet. Every time I arrived at those planets, there was no one and nothing left to help. Even the virus was already dead. My sensors detected that the anomaly was approaching your planet, but I was hoping that it would bypass you. However, as you can see, this didn't happen. Didn't you say that this disease may not be dangerous for humans? I was hoping for that. A virus can't be dangerous for all creatures, only for a small number of species. There were no humans or large animals on previous planets, and I'd hoped that this virus was killing only plants and small animals, but it turns out this isn't the case. Wait, but if the virus can't be dangerous for every species, why then it can't kill everything unless it is artificially created? I froze, frowning, and I barely digested Juno's words. What do you mean? That someone created this virus, and perhaps created it specifically for your galaxy. I don't know who or why. And I don't know if I'm right. We need more samples and more material. So this anomaly is now on my planet. Yes, but I don't know if this is a living creature that infects everything around, or a clot of energy. Maybe it's some kind of object, a fragment of a stone. Do you know where it is? Yes, but you can't go there like this. You need first create some kind of protection, perhaps develop immunity, and for that we need more samples. I pressed my lips together, feeling an unspeakable weight on my shoulders. Everything suddenly became so complicated, serious, and dangerous that I didn't know how to react. It was as if a gloomy black night had suddenly fallen in the middle of a clear day, and I didn't know what to do with it. And Juno's confusion scared me even more. Okay. For some reason I was thinking it was confession. Then you need to collect samples. That's what we're going to do, okay? It was necessary to stay stern and not let panic get the better of the situation. This was what my parents and teachers taught me, to always control my condition, and not to give in to anxiety even if I really wanted to. Juno feigned a smile and nodded. She got up, came to me, and we stood in front of the huge window. You're right, Blitz. We will work together. I promise that I will try to do everything in my power to help you and your planet. Aww. I won't give up. I'll do everything I can. Friends! I give you my word. We were standing opposite of each other. I felt my heart fill with warmth from just looking at Juno. From her voice, from her faint smile depicting on her helmet, I thought I have never experienced anything like this. Such engagement, such support. At some point, it seemed to me that I just had to hug her. That was what I did. I leaned forward and hugged Juno tightly to me. She froze, not immediately realizing that what was happening, and then hugged me back, holding her hands around my neck. We stood like this for several long, awkward minutes. I didn't know how much time had passed. It was warm and good in her arms, and I thought what it would be like to stay like with her forever. Just as my parents had been with each other all my life, I wanted to be with Juno. That's kind of awkward, but alright, she is beautiful. The thought was sudden, bright as a shooting star, and I never wanted anything so much. My heart started beating faster, and I hugged Juno even tighter. I wish I could stand here with her forever, snuggled up to each other, and not think about anything, leaving all my problems in the past. Thank you, Juno. Ah, look at that. I whispered these words in her ear, and Juno pulled me closer to her, burying her face in my shoulders. And at that moment, I realized that it was completely hopeless. I was completely hopelessly in love with her. Whoopsies! Fell in love with an alien girl. Hell yeah. We fucked an alien once. We started working on a cure. Actually, Juno started, and in the meantime, I tried to help her in any way I could. We were collecting samples. Juno had given me a huge, strange suit that was a little too big for me, but it worked, and didn't let me out of the jet without it. Collecting samples wasn't easy. Most of the animals infected with the virus became extremely aggressive before death. A couple of times we barely escaped with an enraged fangers who chased us all the way to the ship, until Juno pulled out a rifle and shot him. It seemed that the virus was simply driving its carriers crazy. Standing over the corpses of animals, I thought only about how to stop it all. On the ship, I spent more and more time hanging around Juno in the lab, trying to learn something at least. Juno would keep me updated on almost all her actions despite being tired. And even if I didn't understand everything, even if it wasn't easier for me than speaking an unfamiliar alien language backwards, I still tried to understand until my brains creaked from the strain, just to get up to speed. The connection between Juno and I was growing stronger every day. I couldn't imagine an hour without her. We spent all our free time together chatting about all sorts of things, trying to distract ourselves from heavy thoughts. I told Juno that what it was like for me in the village. I was being prepared to become the chosen one, in response to and shared stories about her and adventures with Toshi. She talked about distant planets, about different worlds, but beautiful and ugly, hospitable and aggressive. And the longer it lasted, the more deeply I fell in love with Juno. Sometimes it seemed that the feeling was so strong, so huge, that it would soon run out in the space and cramped within my chest. But I didn't know how to tell her about it, or how to choose the right words. One evening we were sitting opposite each other on a long, hard day. Why do you want to help our planet so much? Juno was distracted from her thoughts. What do you mean? Well, I'm just curious. I mean, our planet is probably just one of many for you. Why do you want to help us so bad? Juno was silent for a few moments. She was looking out of one of the huge windows, which the boundless dark of space was viable. Dunno. I just want to help. I want to help you. You're a great human, Blitz. Quit calling me that. And I am very glad that you have become my friend. I smiled gently and nodded. Thank you. And I'm really glad I found you too. Or that we met. My heart was beating very fast in my chest, and I suddenly thought that now was the time to say it was about time, because there may not be a better moment. Who knew what awaited for us next? All our plans would work out. What if I got infected and died with everyone else? The first time in my life I was in love, and I wanted Juno to know about it. I never thought I'd meet someone like you. That is, I didn't even hope, to be honest. Juno looked at me with a puzzled expression on her face. What are you talking about? Oh, I mean that, damn, it turns out this is not so easy to say. I smiled sheepishly, and Juno tilted her head to side like a bird. Say what? What do you mean, Blitz? Shifted in my chair, gathering my thoughts. I couldn't turn back. I'd already started. Well, I've never felt this way, but I'm pretty sure that, I'm pretty sure that I'm in love with you, or if you understand, if you have that in your culture. I hesitantly fell silent, not knowing what else to say. The thoughts in my head were confused. Each one was stupider than the next. I must have looked terribly awkward, red with embarrassment, with a nervous look that dashed around the room. I didn't even know if Juno understood me. Maybe there was no such thing on her planet. Oh no, she gets what you're saying, alright. Her blush was reflected on Juno's helmet. Blitz, are you sure? Feeling my heart flutter, I nodded. Yes, absolutely. I think I fell in love with you almost immediately. I just realized later I've never been in love with anyone. Damn, how difficult this is. I've never fallen in love with anyone, but I'm sure I'm in love with you. That's it. How can you be so sure? You've never been in love. I shrugged my shoulders. I don't know. I just feel that way. That's all. I can't help myself. Juno paused, thinking about something. She looked out the window again. I didn't expect her to immediately rush into my arms, but I wanted her to know. And as soon as I voiced it, my heart felt something more at ease. I've always been afraid to get attached, especially after Toshi. But now, I don't know why, but I feel it for you too, Bliss. Oh my god! I want to be near you. I want to help you. I don't know why it's happening, but she timidly fell silent, and I, feeling my heart flutter, whispered, "Destiny, right?" Juno laughed softly. Right. After that, everything happened by itself. Juno, what happened to the music? I don't remember how close we got to each other. She actually walked toward the screen. That was cool. But Juno snuggled up to me and I to her, and at the moment of everything, every action we did felt so right, and I didn't focus on the specifics about it. Just touching her, my intuition told me what to do. I caressed Juno, my body quickly filled with heat, responding to every touch. I felt how tight my pants were getting. How my object was beginning to get harder, becoming almost like a stone. Okay. Oh, thank God we got clothes back on. Hi, guys. I don't know how much of that was shown, how much of that I could show, but you guys can go check out the Patreon. It'll be in the description down below for the full cut of this. Juno started getting dressed, and I started putting on clothes as well. Wait, has Pixie seen us all this time? Juno laughed out loud, and she heard the undisguised shame in my voice. But like I was saying, I had to get through that scene because I have to end this episode here. So thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, hit the thumbs up button. If you're part of the Patreon, thank you very much and stuff like that. I know I've been really lax on it. I've got another Patreon video that I've been meaning to put up, but now this is going to be a kick, give me a kick in the teeth to actually put them up, because I know you guys are going to see if I cut out that big ass fucking section. I probably kept some of it in, but I don't know how I did it yet because this is before it. So, but that is gonna do it for this episode of My Furry Protogen. Thank you guys so much for watching. We got love. I don't know how I'm gonna do the thumbnail for this either, because my god. Anyway, that's gonna do it for this episode. Thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, I will see you in the next one. Hey, and peace. What up?